It's your boy OB. We got Earl over here, and we got Bentley coming you live on a
Yo,
Wednesday night. You'll see it
Yes,
Thursday
sir.
morning. Yes, sir. A lot of basketball. 76ers game just ended. Obviously, the Nets game yesterday. Um, a lot, a lot to touch, a lot to touch on. So let's start it up with some not gonna lies. Earl's gonna kick it off.
Oh man, so not gonna lie, the Philadelphia 76ers just lost this series tonight.
Mm,
wow.
mm.
You gonna have to explain that to us, Earl.
They blew a
Why
20
did
Nah,
they
you
point
got
lose
one
the
lead.
sentence.
series?
You
Oh
don't. You
yeah,
don't even
oh
got.
yeah.
You don't. You got one sentence, but you don't even gotta. You don't even have to utilize your one sentence. That's it. You got it.
Yeah.
Go on. Move.
I didn't think I'm good.
Go
They
ahead,
blew
man.
it. My not gonna lie is not gonna lie. I still believe that even with the historic performance we saw last night from Kevin Durant, the Nets are not gonna win a championship unless they get at least Harden healthy.
Okay. Okay. Not gonna lie. Us three and everybody watching this YouTube channel cares about basketball more than Ben Simmons.
Oh man.
You damn, you in his head, huh?
Listen.
Oh
Listen.
man.
Listen.
Somebody's in his head.
What's the evidence? We need a factual based evidence state.
Sometimes I give Giannis and these other players that just picked up basketball really late some a little bit of slack. You know what I mean? But Ben, he's been hooping all his life. He's been a star since 14. Like this dude never cares to add anything to his game. He's been the same exact player since his rookie year. It's ridiculous. So he don't care, and I
So
don't care to hold my tongue.
does that mean that Giannis doesn't care about basketball either?
Yo, Earl,
I
you took the
I
words
just
out of
think
my mouth, bro. I was about to say, are we gonna add Giannis to this?
I love that we started here. I don't think that Giannis has the capability. Like it's just different. Like you, for example, Earl. I know. Did you go to prep school or private school, or whatever?
Yeah, I went to prep.
All
Redemption
right.
Christian Academy.
There had to be an African kid on your team that just
There were
ridiculously
several.
tall for no reason,
There were several.
ridiculously tall, but picked up basketball at like 16, and just
Yeah,
never was able to
a
shoot
lot of
like that.
projects. Yeah.
That is Giannis, except he just happened to be able to pick up certain things fast. But he's just never. You can't teach him to have a pull up jump shot like that. It just doesn't work that way. Like these kids are doing this now at 5 years old, every single day, pulling up from three. Like like that's a whole different thing than teaching someone. Okay, now you're gonna pull up a contested shot in someone's face.
Yeah.
It's just against the best defenders in the entire
Let me
world.
ask you this
So
then. Let me ask you this because
I just
look at
think
someone
before we
like
go on, I just think
yeah, go
he's
ahead.
a
Go ahead.
center. I just think he's a center. I think that they use him completely wrong. Like
Okay.
they shouldn't.
Look
Like
at
he should
somebody.
be.
Yeah, that's a whole. I mean, we're gonna talk about that when we get into the KD performance. I got a lot of words for the
Mhm.
Bucks organization as a whole. So I'm not gonna get into their idiocy at the moment. But I guess I feel you. I just don't know that it's fair to give. And I'm not saying you're giving Giannis a pass, but I would if someone like Joel, who was primarily a defensive player, right, when he came out of college, and then just was able to add so many things to his game, you know what I mean, as he progressed. When you make the statement he doesn't care about basketball, the reason that we're saying, and I think I can speak for you when I say the reason that you're saying he doesn't care about basketball is because why are you still the same player? Like
Exact same player though. That's the
yeah,
thing. Like if you look at his, even if you just, I'm not a real numbers guy like that, but if you just look at his game from his rookie year to now, there's nothing different. And then you look at his numbers, it's the same exact thing.
yeah,
I always say, like, sometimes we end up talking numbers, but I always say eye test.
yeah.
But if you look at Giannis, the progression from his rookie year compared to where he is now, it's not even the same person. And it and he progressed in his body. Everything changed, like, and he's trying
Yeah.
his hardest. He just can't shoot. He's not supposed to be like the Bucks blew it, and they may end up losing him one day, whatever. But they were supposed to treat him like Shaq, like a Bam, like a Bam on crack, I should say, or something like just a stronger, souped up version of him, where it's like he's not your number one option and he's not your number two option. But if you get something from him, like if you get a 25-point game from him, then it's like, oh, that's great. And he
Yep.
gives you everything else because
Yeah.
he's an elite defender, he's an elite rebounder, and he's giving you everything else, and he can still pass out of whatever. And then if he's just dominating that game, then he's just dominating that game, but they're giving him the ball on the wings like he's supposed to go toe to toe with KD and Kawhi and these kind of players, and that's not who he is. So it's just it's frustrating to see that, and I
But he
didn't
should
want
be
this
able
for
to post
basketball.
up James Harden though.
That's a good one. We can definitely get
And
into
I
that,
mean,
but I
yeah,
would
I mean,
say,
and again, I'm not disagreeing with your
yeah.
overall
Oh
stance
yeah,
on Giannis, but
yeah.
I'm just in the microcosm of that one game.
Hmm.
There's a lot of things to refute, just what you're saying in terms of him
No,
trying his
definitely.
hardest, and but that's just that
So
game. I don't disagree
yeah,
with your point.
so just in terms of the origin of Giannis and the growth, I would say, like, I wanted him to go to the Warriors, not for basketball. I didn't want them to happen for basketball because it would have been over, but I wanted to see him get utilized correctly, where it's like Steph is taking up that kind of attention. He's setting the screens for
Yeah.
him. He's rolling off that. Or, Clay is that OD shooter where you can't leave that side of the court to double Giannis, and like, let's not get it twisted. Giannis had like 25 attempts, and then he had like 12 more attempts where he got fouled, right? So it's not like he's not going at it. I don't know why he didn't go after Harden. The Harden's waving off. He sometimes, I
That
don't
was
know.
so
That was some weird.
disrespectful.
That was some. I was just happy about that. But I think it comes down to the same thing for all these players. What they said about LeBron back in the day, what they say about Ben. I think he's just didn't want to go to the
He's
free
scared
throw
to go to
line.
free throw line. Yeah,
But at least he calls for the ball. Ben really hides. There's been times where, like, Giannis is always fouled at the end of the games, and he's missing. So I
yeah.
guess it's getting in his head. Whereas you never seen Ben, like you, when you do see him, it's just like, oh man, this is an accident. I didn't want Bennett. Giannis is calling for the ball and eventually getting fouled, and he's like, oh my gosh, I'm missing these free throws. Ben is hiding. He's
The
literally
cra-
hiding
the
on the
crazy
block.
part about Giannis free throws, I think overheard last night. He was shooting like 70% during the regular season. For the series, he's been trash at the free throw line. This particular series, and the funny part is, last night he didn't shoot horrible, but in the clutch, obviously he wasn't making them. So
Mhm.
it's definitely a mental thing, Obi, and I agree with you 100% on that Harden play. The only reason you can tell me you take a fadeaway on a one-leg Harden after he disrespects you and said, "Nah, I got this. Now go over there," and then
And
lock
that's
you up, and you shot a
exactly what I
fadeaway.
mean.
Yeah.
And once you saw the wave off, there's no way that you take a turnaround jumper towards the
Yeah,
baseline at that. Not even turning into not even
yeah,
turning
not
back
towards the
in towards the
middle.
key. Nope, towards the baseline where you're also shooting it almost at the side of the backboard. I You're not Olajuwon, bruh. You can't make free throws. You're gonna make a turnaround Hakeem fadeaway, like, bruh. In the
Oh
words,
man.
in the words of the great Patrick Ewing, you
No, he does
practice
practice
that
that.
shot.
Do you practice that shot?
He practices it.
Why
That's
would
the
you take
problem.
that shot if you don't
That's the
practice that
problem.
shot?
That's the problem.
But I think
Um,
we jumped in the middle, right? So let's. I mean, I think that's a good way to kind of let's.
Reel
A
it in.
lot
Let's reel it in.
happened in
Let's
that
reel it in.
game, right?
Yeah,
There's a
let's
lot. There's
reel
a
it in.
lot to. There's a lot to unpack. Go ahead, Obi.
before
What
we
you said?
unpack,
You look like
before we unpack,
you was about to say something.
I will say this though, and I've noticed it for a while in a lot of players. Their games change at the end of the game, like, and it's been a knock on Braun, and not, there's always the LeBron lovers and the LeBron haters, and sometimes you meet in the middle and you say, yo, listen, this guy is the best player in the world, but at the end of the games, sometimes his game changes a little because he wants to avoid the free throw line.
Yeah.
He hasn't been the greatest free throw shooter, and it's been in his head. There's times when he went to sports psychologists and whatnot, for it and whatnot. And you see at the end of these games where it's like he'll take those threes instead of going to the bucket where he's unstoppable. And for just like his percentage, 4 to 10 times those threes will go in. Whereas compared to going to the bucket is like 80% chance, or he's getting fouled. And he just didn't want. You never see LeBron at the end of the games down 2 shooting 2 free throws. You've never seen it. But what you have seen is fadeaway threes at the end of the game from him. So so to see that from like Giannis, I noticed it right away, and I was like, oh yeah, this is what he's doing. And maybe he should hide like Ben. Nah, he shouldn't.
The biggest key to co-sign what you're saying is you gotta look at Giannis' face and his body language. Like,
yep.
he looked terrified last night. I don't know.
So,
I think he was really thinking in his head like, damn, maybe I should guard this dude. But I don't want to guard this dude.
Listen. You can get everything that you need to know about the mindset of Giannis and the how much he really wants. And it's funny because he's kind of been given this kind of moniker of the warrior, a competitor, don't want to practice with other guys. But if you listen to him in the press conference, see, like when people talk and when they tell you the truth and when they really show you what they who they are. How many times has he called Kevin Durant the best player of the world in the series?
Oh my God.
That's first of all. Like there's just no matter how much better than me you are, it's just gonna be tough for me to even stomach giving you compliments while you busting my head. Like, you know what I mean?
Has Kobe ever done that?
Never.
There's never been anybody better than Kobe at the time.
Not at the time.
And then
where
when
he
he fell
saying
off,
that person's the best in the world. You're right.
And then when he fell off, he felt like he was the best player in the world.
So the man
he's the only one that didn't know that he wasn't the best. Kobe was the only player that didn't know he wasn't the best player in the world.
So the man with more MVPs than Kobe is calling somebody else the best player in the world. That's what you're telling me.
That's what I'm telling you.
MVPs are hogwash.
Yeah. No, but
hold on. We're not gonna do that. We're not gonna get into that. We're not gonna get into that.
No. But I understand what Bentley's saying.
I know what he was about to do. I know what he was about to do.
We're gonna talk about MVPs.
Yeah, we'll do the MVPs.
We gotta put down a list of things.
Anyway, but he also, when they ask him about guarding him and things like that, you can tell that he hears it. You know what I mean? Like, you can tell by his responses that he is fully enthralled in the narrative of the series. You know what I mean? And that is very, very dangerous when you are not supremely confident that you're the best player on the court. And it's clear that he's not.
He's not. That's not even.
I mean, he doesn't think he is. Not even, we know it's not a fact, but he doesn't even think it.
Yeah. There's so much to unpack on that, but yeah, when he talks like that, it's just like, I think he's just being honest, and he knows that he ends up, I don't know, I just don't want to get into his mind. It's just he's a little soft too. Like, he's a little like,
but you don't want to get into his mind, but you just agree.
That's what we dissected, Obi. That's what we doing.
I know
one sentence. You said
we in his head right now. We're in his head. We talk about his body language, his comments.
He goes, all right. So then, all right, let's get into it. Because then there's a lot of times when, like, last year he was like, I guard who coach tells me to guard, right? And then this year, he guards Jimmy 4 games in a row, locks him up, and he's like, he
talks
feels
about not
like,
playing with his food.
Exactly. Talks about, it's just like, yo, you don't even talk like that. Like, that's not like, come on, be yourself, bro. And so then
he goes, somebody else in Brooklyn.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and then he's gassed up and he goes and guards KD for the first 2 games. Remember that. And he was on a highlight reel. Like, KD was chefing him. Like, now you can say they took turns guarding him, whatever, but it got ugly when Giannis was guarding him. So it's not. So again, like that.
The odds came when he had Giannis on the island.
Yeah, and so everyone's like saying, why isn't he guarding him? I'm like, yo, first of all, it's hard to take 30-something shots and then guard the best player in the world at the same time. Like, you can't. He wants to outperform the best player in the world on offense, because remember, he's the only one dropping 30 in this series for the Bucks. Like he's the only one playing. He's actually the only one that's played above average in this series consistently on that
What about
team.
Middleton?
He had one game. One game.
Middleton only had one good
Yeah,
game.
He played one good game in this series.
Middleton.
Yeah, one good game.
Middleton's a I don't know. He's very inconsistent. So whatever. And for him to be carrying the load offensively and then to go guard KD, it's and he already guarded KD and got chefed. It's just like why? He's like, but then he hears, like you said, he hears all the noise, the CJs and all that stuff. He probably got back to the room and looked at his phone and saw CJ's tweet like, "Yo, defensive player of the year, first team all defense, and you can't guard easy money." Like, so now he comes to the press conference. Yeah, I want to take on the bro. You was just guarding him. You was getting chef. Like, listen, PJ did a good job of 2 games in a row, but that's how it works in the NBA.
They're not gonna let you guard him like that every. They're not gonna keep. They're not gonna continue. They weren't gonna continue to let PJ guard him that way. You know what I mean? So
exactly, and he brought him up to the top, so no one else can help. And then the refs, there was pressure on the refs too because
now they on that
Steve Nash planted it.
Yep.
Steve Nash planted that little bug, like, yo, he's not really playing basketball out there. Now it's in their heads, and PJ's really like encroaching his space, like I would not want to owe PJ money because he would come up. First of all, he looks like his breath is not like always on point, and then he comes up, talks to you mad close, like so. Nah, but PJ's the man, yo. His sneaker game is ridiculous.
Westbrook also looks like his breath might stink if he got close.
Yeah, they said Iverson used to never shower, and dudes wouldn't want to guard him.
Hardest, yo, when you go to the park, the stinky dudes is the hardest to guard. They're the hardest to guard, bro. The stinky dudes, and then they have the nerve to take their shirt off.
Yo.
Like, on top of being stinky, you want to take your shirt off, bro? For real?
Oh, man.
So when at the start of my last not gonna lie, I said that Kevin Durant right now is a better basketball player than LeBron James. I didn't say right now. I let y'all decide, but I just said a better basketball player than LeBron James. But obviously, right now. And the points of emphasis that I was using to make that point was that the reason that LeBron was considered better in his prime was because, yes, KD was substantially better in one area, but in all of the other areas, LeBron eclipsed him so much that he was more of an asset, to a team and could carry a team more and, more of an all-around player. What I've seen and what made me make that not gonna lie was seeing KD start to close the gap, whether I'm a fan or whether I'm not a fan, whether I think his teams are stacked or whether I think his teams are not stacked. Skill set is skill set, you know what I mean? And like you already mentioned, Obi, we do the numbers, but not gonna lie, we do the eye test. That's what we do here. We do what our eyes show us. And I was watching a guy that looked like he was passing the ball, and this was before this game, that was passing the ball not even more willingly, because he was always a willing passer, just with a little bit more creativity, more willing to defend. Because again, not that he couldn't, but just more willing to take on the challenge of defending multiple positions now, right? That was always one of the things that we said about LeBron. Oh, he can guard all of these different positions. KD's going out there, starting at the 5, switching out on screens, guarding guards, getting rebounds. And so now he's still an amazingly superior scorer, and all of the other areas that were so far, he started to close the gap. And so I think when you factor all of those things in, he knew that I needed, to be able to stand on that not gonna lie. And my man went out there and put together the single greatest playoff game he has ever played. Played. Kevin, you could look. I mean, if you want to debate it,
Earl, it ain't no he ever played. Anybody has ever played. Nobody's ever put a stat line like that.
Yeah. So, I'm gonna put,
not in the playoffs.
No, but I'm gonna take circumstance in it. It wasn't a finals or nothing like that. You know what I mean?
I'm going by Twitter and
yeah.
The stat muse and all that. Nobody ever put up a stat line like that.
We kind of downplayed it when we were talking about it last episode when I was saying that the stage is set, for him, and because you guys kind of already knew what I meant, when I was saying that the stage was set. But my goodness, did that boy was the stage set, and did he show up at the
Yeah.
Barclays Center?
Yeah.
It was remarkable to see the way he was passing the ball, the way he defended. And here's the biggest thing before I give it to y'all. And I'm not even going to touch the Bucks yet. He played every single minute of that game. So
that was the crazy part.
so
Steve
I'm
Nash gave it
sure-
away too.
I'm sure if you asked Kevin what was the takeaway from that game, the points are great, but he knows he can get 50. He knows he can do, you know what I mean? The fact that he was able to go 100% from the start to the finish of that game on both ends of the floor and come out unscathed after coming off of literally the worst basketball injury, that's not nothing to take for granted. And I've taken a lot. I've given KD a lot of criticism. Majority of the criticism that I've given him is not for his on court, not for what he actually does on the basketball court. But real got to recognize real, and that was astronomical. And if you are comparing it to LeBron, which it seems like everything is that, we cannot help but insert LeBron into every, and I guess that's just a testament to how polarizing and how necessary he is. We still need him,
Hey, we spoke about him for half the show already, and he's been out the playoffs.
Exactly. That was if I'm KD, I'm definitely, looking over to Hollywood and, shrugging my shoulder a little bit. Absolutely.
Wait. Random question. Did LeBron big him up on Twitter or any social media?
He did.
Okay.
So
I was just curious.
It's something about greatness or witnessing or spectacle something like that.
Something with greatness. Something with greatness or excellence.
I got you.
So, wow, to that performance. I was going to lead with 48 minutes. That was sensational. But Earl touched on it. So, good thing I have all these talking points. But I will say, the last time we saw a player really just put 48 minutes of everything in it, I'm talking about 48 minutes when you're down 20. It's not easy. That's not easy when you're down 20 to
good
be
point, Obi. I
to
didn't
stay
even
in the
mention
game
that.
like that.
They would have
and
lost. They needed every one of those points.
He needed every one of those points,
every
one of those minute, every
second.
The team's plus minus is Kevin Durant's plus minus. Let that sink in.
Damn.
The last time I seen anything like that was Iverson. And maybe I want to say Kobe in Game 7 if he did that against Celtics, but I think he still got some rest. But I'm talking about immense amount of minutes. Was just and then the way crazier thing to me is Harden played 46 minutes. Do you understand that?
More minutes than Giannis.
A lot more. Yo, bro. We were just putting this stuff on Giannis, but the Drews, the Middletons,
Brooke Lopez,
Budenholzer. I blame Bud. Bud is he's definitely
getting
fired.
You said Bud like he was on the court, but I love the way you threw him in there because he's definitely at fault.
Yeah, if he doesn't win this series, he's getting fired. It's not it's not even and I'm sure they're gonna.
So let me ask you. Okay, I don't want to cut off your point before I ask you a question. Go ahead.
But so many haters around the sports talk show world and all over in the group chats in America, they all said this. Well, if KD's the best player in the world and he has nothing, he has no Kyrie and no Harden or a hobbled Harden, then he should show it tonight that he's the best player in the world. But he's not. And then he showed them. He really everybody in the world was watching this, and he gave them a performance. The only misstep is that missed free throw he could have.
That would have gave him 50. That had me tight, Obi. I'm glad you brought that up. I was
still
damn. I'm not even a KD fan, and I was like, 50, come on, 17, KD, and 10 come on, you got to get that 50. And he missed the first one, and you saw it in his face. He said, You know, he was tight, cursing all that.
It's crazy when Kobe dropped what like 60 or 61 his last game. He was like, "Yo," he's like, "What were you thinking at the end?" He was like, "I bet I missed these free throws." Like, you're like,
Yeah.
Facts.
Scorers
Facts.
man,
mentality right there. Scorers know, like, I better
that's
get
a
this
fact.
60.
KD knew
Yeah.
he won the game already, but when he missed that free throw, he was tight.
So,
So yeah, let me finish off by saying, that was probably that was one of the best performances I've watched. Like it just as a basketball fan, like
yep.
I've been very hard on KD over the years. I always admitted that he was probably the best offensive player in the league. I didn't like his mentality, but sometimes, but man, that was the illest thing I've seen. So like, shout out to the best player in the world, Kawhi and LeBron and Luka's trying to come up, and maybe even Curry. Y'all can try right now, try what you want, but KD got the crown right now.
Right now.
So let me just also bring it back just to put it in perspective for LeBron. Like, LeBron doesn't have to regain the throne. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
I don't, and
he
let's
doesn't, in
because
no reason. Like, it's not like him and KD went head to head in their primes, and you know what I mean. And KD bust them. Like, it's just that at this point in their careers, he's better at more things than you are. And if you wanna include father time in that, you absolutely can. You know what I mean? That's valid. They're not the same age. Their games are extremely different. Like, so you
yeah.
can factor all of those things in, but they don't put all of that when we rank it. We just say who's the guy right now, and
That's a
and
fact.
Even in their primes, well, no, I would say not primes, the late fifth, like after 2015 ish. I think it's been going back and forth.
Is that post Miami against OKC or
I
pre?
think the
I don't know the
last year of
years
OKC,
because they
LeBron
played each
was
other in the
probably
finals.
yeah, but
it was
nobody
such a
wants to
it was such
count that.
it was such
Nobody
a
wants
choke
to. I don't
job.
want to. I don't. Yeah,
Oh
go,
no,
go
no.
ahead.
You talking about that? Okay, now that's LeBron was better at that time. Everyone knew that. KD knew he was better
Gotcha.
at that playoff game. But I'm thinking like the choke job between OKC and Golden State. Who is better, right? Like KD was so good, but that team was built so poorly.
I
Literally had
agree.
no shooters.
I
They
agree.
had Westbrook and Roberson and Adams on the court.
Oh Lord,
It's like
Robertson,
those,
I
he
agree.
was he was a
and
But I think
liability,
and
bro.
then one thing you saw about KD's burners account, like he only talked the real. Like when they broke out, like he literally said like, "Yo, maybe KD was tired of being the only shooter on the court." like 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 the real came out. Like it wasn't like he didn't say nothing disrespectful to Westbrook. That's why I was always like, "Yo, he doesn't hate Westbrook. He's just embarrassed." Like like you do somebody
Yeah.
dirty, or someone does you dirty, and they act like some you
like
ever
you did
you
them
ever see
dirty.
you ever see someone that owes you bread and then stop talking to you?
Oh, as if you did something wrong. Dang, that's a good example, Obi. I'll give you that. I'll give you
Yeah.
that one.
So that's that KD Westbrook relationship where it's like he never hated Westbrook. He never even hated on him like that. Even new burner accounts, he never. It was just like he knew that like his he couldn't reach his
Carry.
potential, like there. If they had three shooters around, if they had three other shooters in Westbrook, I think they would have been a lot better. But they didn't. And Westbrook's such a bad shooter, it just compiled everything. And he's a bad decision maker. So it's just like
I think I think
anyway.
we
Go ahead.
I think that's a no, I think that's a good debate for another day, because I would say let's take, I would say that second run LeBron, that second Cleveland run LeBron was still a little bit better than Kevin Durant. You know what I mean? I think overall, like if
So
we
you can't say that, right? Because like in the beginning of it, I think LeBron was amazing, right? That was OD. Like when KD was amazing too, but we never got to see him get that because he blew it, right? So
yeah,
so you
yeah.
got to see LeBron at the end, and LeBron was cooking, right? And that was some of the best LeBron we've ever seen, right? But the moment KD got on Golden State, and you could argue what is fair, what is not, right?
Yeah, yeah.
KD was the best player on the court in those. Now maybe has a tendency of quitting early, and so after he lost those first games or that game 3 or whatever, sometimes he just like, yo, I'm not gonna go hard anymore. It's over, like. But KD won those Finals MVPs, and he hit the same shot 2 years in a row, and in 2 game 3s in a row,
Yeah.
in LeBron's face
Yeah.
to seal the game. So it's like, you know, who was better? You can't say LeBron was better than KD at that point. And KD was healthier than he was then. Now, he looks fully healthy now, but he was more athletic, I guess, and the
Right.
same
Maybe he was
shooter.
a
So
couple
it's
years
like,
younger.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think that's a fair debate to have for another day. I don't want it to get lost that me saying that I think, that Kevin Durant is the best now, but because it is absolutely because of what we're seeing. You know what I mean? Like, when LeBron was in this position and we got to see him, and we weren't, when we didn't get to see KD, in this position, that we were saying it was LeBron. It was like, oh my God, look at what he's doing. When he was sweeping guys and, and hitting, running, bank 3-point shots and, just all types of crazy stuff.
mhm.
It was like, oh, we've never seen nothing like this, and now I think it's just the same thing with KD, and it's just a testament to each of their, how great each of them are, whichever one. And hopefully we will not get robbed of seeing them play meaningful basketball against each other again. But who
Speaking
knows?
of, LeBron's comments recently in regards to, the recent news that came out about Kawhi Leonard. Comments about, oh, I told you so, basically, to the NBA in regards to, rest after the season. Um, First, do you want to talk about the comments, or do you want to talk about Kawhi first? Because it's like,
I could touch on the comments. Basically, LeBron came out and said that he was correct about the suddenness start of the season and the short break they had following the bubble and his ring in the bubble, and the season start. I think it ended in October, and then the season started in December. So that short break that the players had, LeBron warned the NBA and the world basically that would have an impact on players' health, and it was too short. And he today he basically tweeted out, "I was correct because we have 9 All-Stars that weren't able to play in the playoffs healthy," and he attributed that to the short break. In the wake of today's ridiculous number of injuries in the past couple of days to Kawhi Leonard, who has a ACL injury, hopefully not a tear. I don't think it really affects Kyrie. We saw what happened to Kyrie. He landed on the foot wrong. But then you have Harden with the hamstring for the majority of playoffs. He's on one leg, and you got Conley, who's been out for an extended period of time, and several other players. And he's attributing that to the fact that the NBA did not listen to him. And
I wonder if it's coincidence though. I wonder if it's coincidence though, because it's like a lot of these players are injury-prone players.
Yo, Obi, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was literally, as Bentley was saying the names, I was like making a mental list. Like,
Harden's never been hurt in the playoffs.
He's the only one that you named. He's the only one that you named.
Harden,
that's not injury prone. And if you want to add
Harden
Anthony Davis for getting hurt, he's injury prone.
Was
Kyrie injury prone.
Oh, he got hurt in the season.
Conley injury prone.
Kyrie's definitely injury prone.
Conley,
so is Conley.
Anthony Davis.
Yeah,
Chris
Davis
Paul
is too. Chris Paul's definitely injury prone too. But
so
then
so that means you only talking about yourself. You talking about you, LeBron, but your injury wasn't a hamstring injury either. Yours was an action injury.
I hear you, Earl, but at the same time, when you're shortening a season for injury-prone players.
Okay, wait. Yeah, no. So Ben, we've talked about this I said it from day one. I said, bruh, there's going to be hamstrings, there's going to be quads, there's going to be all types of tissue injuries because of the shortened season. I'm not saying two things can be true. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, that can be true, but the examples that you have can be poor examples because these guys are injury prone anyway. You know what I mean? And then my only other, and I don't think this is the big deal. I think this is just another, either you're going to hate LeBron or love LeBron for, you know what I mean? Like, just another example of how polarizing he is. It's not really that big a deal. but it's a little in poor taste only because you benefited from injuries
Last season.
just last season. And I guess he wasn't, saying, "Oh yeah, I'm glad these guys are hurt," but he also wasn't saying, "Damn, yo, we in this condensed. We had this long layoff. Now we got to come back into the bubble. Guys aren't able to practice and warm up and whatever, and it's going to lead to injuries. Look at what happened to Bam. Look at what happened to whoever.
Dragic.
He didn't say that because it benefited him.
He took his ring and he went about his business.
Yeah, so it's just, like I said, it's just a little bit of poor taste. It's like I said, like it's about how you communicate when you communicate, reading the room. When you're playing
I was about to say, it's definitely a read the room moment, Earl.
When you're playing basketball, whether it be live, we on a court, or we playing 2K, nobody says, "Yo, we got to stop the turnovers" after they throw a turnover.
He like you playing 2K and he's talking about lag, but you won with lag.
yo, son, we got 15 turnovers this game. You got 8. Like nobody says, you know what I mean? Like nobody says, "Yo, we got to switch." Like when they getting killed, nobody,
No, that's a fact. That's a fact.
Oh man,
that's what it is.
Yeah, well said, y'all. What do y'all think about the Jazz in the Clippers series now? It's cooked.
Man, with Kawhi getting hurt, I'm really praying. Like I've torn my ACL personally. It's not a good feeling. And I really, really hope for the competitiveness of that series that it's not a tear. I hope it's a sprain. I mean, I've never really heard of ACL sprains too often, maybe in football occasionally, but it could be a partial tear, and he might be able to play for it. I play on it, and one of my favorite players, Curtis Martin, played a whole season on a partially torn ACL in football. So, but I don't know how that translates to basketball. So I hope it's not a full tear, and I hope it return.
The only thing that I'd say is different that doesn't translate is the up and down, the up and down motion as opposed to the side to side. You know what I mean? Like it's a different kind of lift on that back of your calf. You know what I mean? And then down that area, trying to, when you're trying to power jump, for example. Right, there you go. That's what I was looking for. So
a few things, right? Like, I don't even care about this series, to be honest.
I haven't watched the game of it. I'm gonna be honest. I only watched the highlights of the series.
I've watched, but it's just the impact on if Kawhi has an ACL changes the entire landscape.
It's
of the
crazy.
NBA because there's so many factors in it goes into it, right. So they lose. So Jazz or Phoenix wins this series. I mean, comes up the West, right? That's 1. 2. That ACL takes him out for the entire next season.
It's like a Klay Thompson injury when he was in the finals against Toronto.
And Kawhi takes his time with these injuries. So it's like, what happens to the Clippers, right? Because now it's like you already have pandemic P, right? And he was just turning back into playoff P, because they started to give him the ball more and let him be the point guard because they didn't really have a playmaker. So he became the playmaker in the half court. Mm-hmm. But with Kawhi, because you can't really you can't double. Imagine double.
Yeah, it's easy to be a playmaker when no one's doubling you. When you're literally pounding around, looking around,
and nobody's bothering you.
Imagine the head case he's gonna be when everything's on Paul George's shoulders. Not to mess around with mental health, but it's not gonna be good for the Clippers.
So I want to stop you on there. And I know we're getting close to the end, so I don't want this to turn into a long thing. But I've been really thinking about this.
If you're about to go talking about mental health, you better chill. Don't get canceled. Me and Bentley gonna be sitting like.
Can you just hear me out? Hear me out. Y'all said a ton of cancel-worthy stuff already that I didn't. I got the group chats to prove it. So, if you are a player, right, or an athlete, or even I'll take it out of just sports, or an entertainer, anybody, right, and let's stay with just athletes because it's probably not the same with an entertainer, and you it comes to our attention, you know, that you have issues with mental health, whatever it is, whatever that may be. Is it then wrong for us to take into account your mental health and how it will affect your performance? Like, shouldn't we be allowed to talk about that? Because it's no different from, in my opinion, if you had a sore ankle, right? Or if you had if you played with a hurt back, you know, like, because it sounds soft to call being depressed an injury, right? Right. But if we're gonna acknowledge that it exists, then and from you putting it out there, right? We know specifically Paul George's situation, Kevin Love's situation, because they, you know, brought it.
They made it known to the world.
Right. So I don't even want to go I don't want to go this far and say, like, as a coach or as a player, am I allowed to now, you know, use that against you? Or as a media person or the person talking sports, if I'm talking about the aspects of your game and what affected you playing good and you not playing good, can I not also talk about the mental state that you were in?
Well, we already know on the court that's going to be used against you once you put it out to the world. NBA players on the court, there is nothing off limits on the court.
KGs that go on.
Now the media is different.
Yeah, facts. So it's a difficult situation, right? Because prior to Paul George letting us into, like, his, you know, issues or whatever, like,
whatever you want to call it,
he was known for making excuses for everything, right? So, like, for example, you had when he played bad and Doc got fired, he was like, "Oh, Doc was using me wrong. Yeah, that's why I played so badly." Or when the whole Dame and PG thing happened, right? Like, PG was embarrassed and everyone was laughing at him for the, you know, for the whole call him a chump.
Bad shot.
He called him a chump or whatever, right? And nah, I'm talking about in the bubble, right?
Okay.
So Devin Booker. Was it Booker?
I'm talking about
Booker that called him? Oh, Dame. Okay,
no, Dame, and he called him a chump, and he lost the Twitter battle, and then he ended up out of nowhere, right? He started talking about, well, you know, I don't care what any of you guys say because I'm coming off the most devastating injury ever, and for me to get back to where I am now is amazing. Like, whoa, bro, nobody was talking about that. Like, what are you talking about right now? He called you a chump for teaming up with Kawhi, and then you start copping a plea about how you came back to being good at basketball. Like, nobody said anything about. So it's like he's been doing that. Like, so then it's like someone that is habitual at making excuses for something. The culture in the NBA, they wonder if it's like, yo, was he playing bad and just using that as an excuse, or does he actually have mental health issues? You know, and no one talks about it because it's like a hard thing. You can't decide. No one knows what's in his brain. You know, like, I just know he's always a guy. Like, everyone knows that guy that makes excuses for every L they ever take, right? And just wants sympathy. You know, but then some people actually have those issues. So it's like I wouldn't say that he doesn't. I'm just saying that's the dynamic where it's like the media wants to say, yo, you know, the Charles Barkley was the only one that's allowed to say he's full of shit. You know, and Charles Barkley said it. Like, he's like, oh man, I'm in the dark. You remember he's in a dark place.
It's that if you didn't hear it from a doctor, if I didn't see you act crazy, you know what I mean? Then then what makes your mental state less, you know, what makes it more difficult for you to go out there and perform with whatever demons you have going on than any of the other hundreds or 200s of players that have, you know? And that's similar to, like, my stance with, you know, with Kyrie, with the Ramadan and missing games for, you know, without telling folks and stuff like that. It's not that I have a problem with him doing those things. Is that you ain't the first one. Don't act like this is something exclusive to only you. And I think it's a touchy subject. I mean, you got you got Naomi Osaka leaving out of the
it's all touchy.
You know, Naomi Osaka backing out of the French Open, citing the you know, the mental health, but first only saying that she wasn't going to do interviews, then coming back and saying the reason that I'm not going to do the interviews is because of this, and then I'm gonna back out. You know, it's just, I think that it's if we're going to put it on the stage, which I think is necessary, and I'm not saying that we should anyone should be victimized or championed, but I'm just curious, of how we should be handling it as competitors, and then how we should be handling it as media contemporaries.
Yeah,
So
because
yeah,
the problem is in sports is like I could if my leg breaks, I could show you an X-ray. You see the bone broken. You know what I'm saying? And you see, dang,
yeah,
his bone is broken. I can't show you an X-ray or MRI of my brain, and you like, oh, he's depressed. There,
yeah.
neurologists might be able to tell that. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
depending on any brain scars you have. I don't want to get into that,
Yeah.
but the point is, you cannot physically, most of the time, see somebody has a mental health issue. So the public and the world will always that doesn't like you or has whatever against you or just doesn't believe you is gonna call bullshit. That's the fact of the matter.
But I will say that the media and even in my like group chats, like we've all been we don't even say like we don't even call it bullshit. We don't know. And it's just like we don't say, oh, he's soft for that or PG soft. We don't even like make fun of him because we know like mental health like at the same time we just don't know. And so it's like as whack as that sounds as a take, it's like like
No, I think
and
that's
also
honest.
and
That's honest.
and also to Earl's point about like what makes it harder for this person to go that it's also like weird because it's like some people react to certain things way worse and it might be because of the past traumas or just they're not equipped to handle certain things so it's uh, like that's why I will say with the bubble where it's like I can't I don't say it's harder or easier for someone, because for me, I feel like I just be in my room playing video games and come out and I'm happy. Like I could just watch Mad Netflix. I'm catching up, like getting away from the world and then go hoop. Like, for someone else, it's just like, that needs to be around people or needs their routine that they've had their whole life or to
That's
be
valid.
around their
That's valid.
family. It's like it could be just completely devastating. So, and then imagine if Kyrie was in that bubble, bro. He couldn't handle that bubble just because
No.
and like not that he just wouldn't I don't want to say handle he just wouldn't it wouldn't be good for him because like he couldn't middle of COVID he had to go party with his family because that's more important
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's not more important than basketball but I'm saying
But
what
someone
his
else
stance
may
was
not have thought the
his
same way. There's
his
someone else that
stance
may
was
not have thought that.
yeah, his stance was me meeting up with my family for whoever's birthday is more important than my team right now. That's his stance. And like if he was in the bubble for that, forget about it. Like he would have you know, it just wouldn't have went well. So I say we get off the mental health topic in general. Like like I don't even know how we got here.
That was my,
But the
my.
Clippers are in trouble. Oh yeah, back to the Clippers, right? So what happens? Like, do they, I don't even think Kawhi signed long term anymore. Like so, and they were gonna make a decision on what happens with Kawhi if he was gonna opt out. And I think he has to opt in, because he's not even. He may not play next year at all if this is how it is, right? And like, who's all my Knicks fans want Kawhi to come. Like, if you would you sign up for somebody that already plays 50 something
Yep.
games a year and
Yep.
then and coming off an ACL?
Yep.
Would you have said that before? Would you have said that before that dunk yesterday?
Yep.
Oh yeah, okay. That dunk was insane.
We have no superstar. I need one at least. Let's get the ball rolling.
I think so. I think that what we're seeing,
You have three. That's why you're questionable. You have three already.
and just to kind of
That's a
bring it
fact.
all together, I feel like the injuries, CP, who's I don't know who he wronged in a former life. I don't know what he did. I don't know what he did, but he
Fought
clearly
with
is,
Rondo.
he
That
clearly
washed
is
him.
that is clearly one successful black man that cannot be a part of the Illuminati. No way. No way. But all of
Chris
the
Paul,
injuries, all of
he
the
probably
injuries are ruining the playoffs. But at the same time, they're already making the offseason really, really, really interesting. You know what I mean? Because nothing is ending the way teams wanted it to. And so I think, not gonna lie, this offseason is going to be even more exciting than this postseason.
I like that.
Mm.
Because that will work in my salary cap rich New York Knickerbockers' favor.
Mm. Yo, and whew, Philly. Who think? Wait, like before we wrap up, do you guys think Philly's gonna win this series now that they're down after just blowing
Yes.
that lead?
You heard me. I said it. Am I not
I
going to lie?
say I say yes.
I said it. Am I not going to lie?
Philly's still gonna
They
win,
Question.
in my
blew.
opinion.
They blew a
Let me ask you,
24.
and I'm gonna put you on the spot, and it's not to. I'm gonna put you on the spot, and it's not to expose your basketball acumen. It's more to highlight that nobody knows this answer. Who is the Philadelphia 76ers backup point guard?
Is it not Shake Milton? Is it Shake Milton or
Sometimes.
Sometimes
whenever I
because
see him coming off the bench, he's
Shake is
running the one
nice.
and he's getting buckets. That's the
Shake-
only reason why I said Shake.
It's a
If it's not
log
Shake, it's
jam
Seth.
with
Is it Seth? Seth Curry or Shake? No, neither one.
and the
Seth
other
plays a
kid.
little
No, the
point.
other kid and the
Shake
other
plays a little
kid, the
point.
other young kid that they've been trying
Who
to
is
get
it
out
then?
there. What is it? Is it Maxey? Is his last name? What, I can't think of his name right
Oh,
now.
Tyrone
Yeah,
Maxey.
he's a guard also. I think.
Who
It's
is it,
between-
Obi? I hope you know the answer. You asking this?
The point is they don't have one.
They don't
Like,
have one.
Shake,
I got
Shake
you,
is
I got
nice.
you.
Shake is good, but he's
I
not.
see
he's
Shake
not-
come in and get buckets,
Yeah,
and
he
he's
gets
running the
buckets.
offense.
But it's like, is he like a true point guard, or is he like
Nah, he's
like,
a combo guard. He's definitely a combo guard. He's not a true
that's
point
my
guard.
like, and so is Curry. And it's just, these are just whatever. But the point is, when your point guard can't close games, and you have to put him on the bench because he's getting Hacker Ben, or whatever you want to call him. I'm gonna have to come up with a creative name.
Hacker Ben.
When you get Hacker Ben, you have to put him on the bench. Your offense just starts to,
Sputter.
Embiid can have 40, but it's like you need a guard that can sit there and say, "Give me the ball, everybody move out. If you want to foul me, you're an idiot, and I'm getting this bucket regardless." They don't have that. And it's like you want Tobias, who's a power forward, and you want Embiid, who's a center, to close the games where they don't have that handle. They can't bring the ball up, and things don't go right when they're running the offense. It's just not how it's supposed to. I don't even want Jokic to run the offense at the end of the games unless it's like, like unless it's just like he's drawing a double team. I want Murray or someone to be in that position. Like, so Ben not being able to bring the ball up because he's afraid to get fouled. He's afraid to touch the ball. Because under 2 minutes, you have to have the ball in your hands to get fouled, and or to like a technical, right? So they hack a Ben up until until 2 minutes is left, and then after that, Ben doesn't want to touch the ball because now you have free rights to go foul him. So it's like he's afraid of that moment, and then these dudes came back easily. Like, that was the craziest thing. I'm like, yo, everyone's gonna sit there and blame Doc, but it's like it's the construct of the team, and it's Ben Simmons who doesn't care. Who doesn't care?
Wow.
Unless you guys think that deep down Ben Simmons is incapable of learning how to shoot free throws. Because I don't think that's the case.
I've seen him make a free throw, so no, that can't be the case. I don't. I think.
I look at Giannis's release, and I say,
Lord.
okay, 10 seconds. And I'm like,
Right.
okay, he's never
Right.
gonna get that.
Right.
And then I look at Ben Simmons' release. It's like, okay, you just need
Yeah.
I think you need
That looked like an Obi release more than a. Ben
well, he's a
Simmons
lefty,
release.
so he's a lefty.
Fair.
But it looks like Ben needs to not be getting. I'll say this all the time. I think they've given Ben everything in the world, so he feels like he doesn't have to work for anything. Rookies of the year, defensive players,
NBA.
not all NBA, I should say. And he thought he was going to get defensive player, just because he talked it into existence, and he gets all stars, averaging 14. Like, that doesn't. We've never had defensive stoppers in the All-Star game averaging 14. You could say, oh, this, but he can't play part at the end of the game. Guard. So, It is what it is. I still think Philly's gonna win. I say all that to say I think Philly's gonna win this game series. I could be wrong, and you could look back at me and say this is gonna be a tough game. It's gonna be a tough game in Atlanta. But I just think like Embiid can lean on you so much. It's so hard to stop him. It's just like you just got to keep the blowout. They're up 20 every time, every game. You know, like they were
Yeah.
up 20 in this game. They just need to be able to keep keep it on them. Just and we'll see. What do y'all
We'll
think in
see what's
terms
gonna
of who's going to
happen.
win the series?
I still got Hawks. All right, so I'm gonna say I
Sixes.
got
I
Hawks.
got I
You
got the
you
sixes.
you blow a 20-point lead at home to now another team only has to win one out of the next two. I'll take them.
I
Um,
think
Embiid
Joel
is
is
my
gonna take
top.
over.
Embiid is my top five favorite players. I don't even order them at this point. He's my top five player, but I'm rooting that they lose. So like I feel like the Nets can take it easy against the Hawks. So Kyrie can chill. He doesn't have. I think Kyrie has to come back against Philly. So I'm rooting against them, but I just don't think they can beat them. So it's gonna be a close game. Let's see what happens in Atlanta, and then what I mean, let's go Hawks.
Yo, we love y'all. We hope y'all enjoyed another Not Gonna Lie podcast. I'm Earl. That's Matt and Obi. Please, please, please like and subscribe. Please, please, please like and subscribe. Not
Please.
gonna lie. Till next time, y'all. Holla.
Holla at y'all.
Holla at your boy.
Later. We need a picture thumbnail.
Oh, we actually do have to answer who's gonna win the next. Who's gonna win? Bucks and Nets. Quick. Bucks and Nets.
Bucks.
Go.
Nets.
There we go. Nets. Holla at you.